And now, it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your Thursday. See, I still hit the post, Christian. You're welcome. What's up, Ben?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, man, living the dream. What can I say?
Good.
Yeah, it was nice this morning.
Yeah, life's good.
Yeah, life is good. I was talking to your boss at KSLSports.com, Maddie, yesterday, and we were talking about how we're in the middle. You know, she's always busy, but like this is 2 months where in this town you've got now hockey, NBA, college basketball just starting, and college football.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of the sweet spot where everything is happening at once, which is great.
Yeah, it's good for us.
It is. It is good for us. And we'll talk all about it today. Kind of cool that the eyes of the college football world are on one of our local teams once again. And the Jazz I described it with David, and we can start wherever you want, but I described it with David as an interesting game last night.
Okay, what did you think was interesting about it?
See, that's exactly what he asked me. He turned it around and put me on the spot. And I hope I explained it well why I did find it interesting. But here it is, Ben. Missing Walker Kessler, Detroit might be the last team you'd want to play.
Okay.
Just based on how they're built and what they like to do. So the Jazz were ill-equipped for this particular matchup. They played the worst third quarter in basketball history.
4 of 22 from the floor. Only Ace Bailey made multiple shots on the team in the quarter.
It was actually the second worst quarter in the NBA this season.
Was it?
Uh-huh. And it was their worst quarter since
From what?
2022.
By what measure?
Shooting.
Okay.
4 of 22
It's
was
really bad.
I mean, just awful.
Yeah.
And the Jazz didn't get blown out.
They did not.
They should have gotten blown out by all metrics and all, like if I said, Ben, they're going to have the worst third quarter ever and they're going to be totally overmatched in the middle and they're playing the Pistons, you'd say, well, the Jazz are going to score 60 points and they're going to lose by 30. And that didn't happen.
No, at all.
No, it really didn't happen. So that is what I found interesting. I don't know what that means. David seemed to think it meant that Detroit can't shoot.
Which is true.
Especially that Detroit team. They're missing a couple of guys. But I'm not convinced that's the whole story, that they can't shoot. I'm willing to consider it. And yeah, I watched the game. It's not like they're lighting it up out there. But I would have thought the Jazz would have been ragdolled. And Jalen Durant went for 20 and 20. Like, how did they stay in the game?
Cade had 31.
Cade had 18 in the fourth quarter. Yeah. How did they not lose by 30? The fact that it was closer than 114-103, it was basically a 6-7 point game for the entire fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So that's what I found interesting.
Well, the Jazz are playing some defense, and that really helps. You know, they held, again, Detroit to 114 points, which is a good night. The Jazz just had a terrible shooting night overall. I think they were 38% as a team, which is absurdly low.
Which also had something to do with Detroit. That's how they play.
Yeah, they make it ugly.
They guard.
Yeah, and that's a J.B. Bickerstaff signature. His teams did
that.
Well,
and Asar Thompson gets after you, and Cade is huge for a point guard.
Yeah, we talked about, where are we on Asar Thompson, and the question is, well, is he going to guard Keontae or is he going to guard Lauri Markkanen? And it's like, well, imagine how nice it is to have a guy is he going to guard the point guard or is he going to guard the 50-point capable power forward?
And he's good enough to take either one of them out of the game.
And he took Keontae out of the game.
Yeah.
He really did. Keontae had his worst game of the season so far, and it was largely because Asar Thompson was on him for a lot of the game.
I do like that Keontae kept at it, though. He didn't wilt. He continued to be aggressive.
And again, one of the things we've measured with Keontae is, can you turn your awful nights into less awful nights? And that was an awful night from Keontae, and he still had more points than shots. He had 18 points and 17 shots. Am I right on that?
19 and 18.
19 and 18. So it's still a lot of shots. The truth is the Jazz can't score outside of Keontae and Lowry. And now with Walker Kessler missing, which is still the biggest story, we got to it at the very end of our show yesterday, that Walker's going to be out for the rest of the year. Walker scores 78% of his field goal attempts. It's a really high number. In fact, the weird thing about Walker is he may be a better offensive player than defensive player. And he's a good shot blocker. He's not shut down a defense anytime they drive into the paint. If they were, the Jazz wouldn't have been the 30th ranked defense in the NBA the last 2 seasons with Walker playing. But he's a really good lob catcher. He's a great offensive rebound. Offensive rebounds lead to points basically every time. They're basically guaranteed points because you're catching the ball within 3 feet of the rim and the defense is not prepared. So they're really easy baskets there. And he makes his baskets when he shoots. So he has a lot of value on the offensive end that I think gets discounted because he doesn't shoot a lot. But it creates easy points for a team that now, I don't think it's a coincidence that we haven't seen Walker over his last 3 games, and the Jazz have scored 103 points, 105 points, and 103 points, which is basically what the early 2000s Pistons did.
I totally agree with your take right there, which is amazing they didn't lose by 30.
Uh-huh.
I mean, because Jusuf Nurkic is just not.
He's the funniest player in the NBA.
He's just,
no question about it.
He's not the answer.
He's 7 feet tall. He's 290 pounds. He has incredible touch on his passes. He didn't miss a shot in the preseason, I don't think. And every night he steps on the floor, he shoots 2 of 8 like he did last night.
He cannot make a layup.
He can't make a layup. He can't, again, to your point of how was he the guy with the yips putting to hit the game winner against the Boston Celtics in his most difficult basket of the season just because of the pressure on making the shot.
The circumstance.
He can't shoot at all. He can't tap the ball in. He can't lay the ball in. He's certainly not shooting threes.
It's bananas.
Yeah, he cannot make a basket. I've never seen a 7-footer with this bad of shooting at the rim.
He's allergic to running. He's got a running allergy.
Remember Dante Exum couldn't make a layup? Dante would go 1,000 miles an hour and everything would just clank off the backboard.
Yep. Well, we were talking about Alec Burks with David James. He had a similar problem.
Somehow Nurk has beautifully soft touch on every pass. You know, can really thread a needle, great dump-off passes, drop passes over the defense. But when he's shooting up at the rim, which is 1.5 feet away from his hand, it's got no chance to go in.
And he's not going to dunk it.
No, he can't dunk it. I don't know if he can jump that high anymore. So
I don't know. The Jazz have a real problem. He's fine on the rebounds. I mean, that's one place where he can kind of
because he also gave up 22 rebounds to Jalen Durant.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he'll get his. He's not really stopping anyone from getting theirs.
I mean, I told you. Honestly, his backstory is my favorite in the NBA. We don't need to tell it, but I honestly want to like him as a player. And he's not really helping. And Kevin Love isn't going to help. Phil was dreadful. Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do.
I think Kevin Love and Jusuf Nurkic were combined 2 of 11 shooting. Those are your centers last night.
Let's see. Old Nurk was 2 of 8, and Kevin Love was 0 for 3.
Yeah. So 2 of 11 shooting from your centers when you're used to getting, 7 of 11?
7 of 9.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, from Walk. So it's a big difference. Mm-hmm. And that's where the Jazz offense is going to continue to struggle. And as I've said, I know there's been some talk of, how nice it is to not have Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton and John Collins taking all the shots and kind of looking out for themselves because they were soon to be entering contract years last season. But also the Jazz don't know how to get shots off. Right now you look around and the team will catch the ball and can't find a place to get to a spot to shoot, which is where I think Ace Bailey's role is going to continue to grow. And I'm curious if it's actually good for him or not. Him having to create shots. He created a few shots last night, including the kind of patented Carmelo Anthony face-up 20-footer on the baseline, which is a really hard shot, and he can make it. But are you going to teach him to take a lot of those shots that are not necessarily within the offense purely because you need somebody to shoot the ball?
My favorite play of his last night was his one of his 3 offensive rebounds, but the one where he snuck behind, I think it was Durant, and then went up and got it and then put it right back.
He had 2 really good plays on offensive rebounds. The one dump-off pass to Lauri Markkanen was a great read of just recognizing, I've got the ball. I don't have to shoot. There's going to be another guy open because the defense is paying attention to me. And then, yes, I'm the best athlete on the floor in this moment, and I can jump up and grab this rebound as a small forward or shooting guard that the centers can't even grab.
The sad part is he's going to have to pry the starting job out of Svi's dead fingers.
I thought it was coming.
SVHT is not giving it up.
I thought it was coming because Svi over his last 3 games had been really bad. I think he was shooting 24%. And that's not from 3. I mean, from the floor, he was shooting 24%. It's like 18% from 3. He was not shooting well at all. I thought, okay, here it comes. And then one of the problems was Walker got hurt, so Will already had to change the starting lineup, which may have prevented him from really overhauling the whole thing because he also put Taylor Hendricks in the lineup over Kyle Filipowski. Had those things not happened, I wonder if Ace would have already been starting, but they just did. And now Ace is out for the rest of the year, so you're already starting.
Walker's out for the rest of the year.
Walker's out for the rest of the year, so now you're having to start Nurk, at least in the meantime. And so you didn't want to change everything. And then Svi last night has the best game of his life, 28 points, 10 of 16 from the floor, couldn't miss, 20 points at halftime. And it's like, yeah, how do you bench that guy? He's playing well. He's playing better than Ace is. So how do you take him out of the starting lineup? But I will be curious if the Jazz reach that point because, as you mentioned, they should have lost by 30 last night, and they didn't. So I think the losses are going to continue to come. It's going to be really hard to win games without Walker Kessler on the floor. And do you shift your approach to developing the young players once again over let's put the best lineup out there that we can?
By the way, when I say that, too, I'm not trying to throw some moral victory out there. I don't really care. I'm just shocked that they didn't lose by 30. That was a recipe for a blowout.
Yeah.
And so the reason that it wasn't a blowout, I find interesting.
I had the exact same feeling where, the Jazz would play and you're like, man, they have not gotten a basket in so long. And you'd look up and it's 99-93.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was crazy.
They're a stop and a 3 away from this being a real game. And it never quite got there, but it was certainly not out of hand.
No, and all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, which totally changed tune because Cade Cunningham decided that he was going to beat the Jazz single-handedly and pretty much did, scoring 18 in the fourth. The Jazz more or less matched them basket for basket. They just couldn't get a stop.
And Lowry finally started making shots. He didn't shoot at all.
And so it went from the Sahara Desert in the third quarter to, all right, well, now they're playing some offense. Then it just turned into they couldn't get a stop. It was just funny. It was a funny situation. But, yeah, Svi. Do you remember the game in Miami where Paul Millsap hit the
Miracle in Miami.
The Miracle in Miami, whatever that was. So in the post game, Kirilla Fasenko was available because he actually had his best game of his career in that game. And somebody asked him, what do you think about that? Paul Millsap shot all that. And he's like, what are you talking about? This game was all about Carrillo.
It's the Fasenko game.
This was the Fasenko game. I had that memory yesterday watching old Svi. I didn't get a chance to hear any players in the post game. But if we had a chance to hear Svi, it would have been funny if they brought up what'd you think about Keontae George tonight? And he's like, what are you talking about?
Don't need him.
This was the Svi HT game. It's all about Svi, baby. I always thought that was funny about Fasenko. No, I don't want to talk about that.
Didn't know he was on the floor.
This was my game. What are you asking me about Paul for? You know who used to hate being asked about other players? Rudy.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Donovan tonight? Wasn't he fantastic? Why are you asking me about Donovan, man?
Yeah, I didn't get enough touches.
Is my name Donovan Mitchell? Because I was pretty dang good out there, too.
So I'd be curious to see which direction Will Hardy goes. There's a couple of ways. One, like I said, trying to win games versus trying to develop your young players, and I don't think you can necessarily do both on this particular roster. And then B, are you okay with games being close when you can't score at all because you're playing defense? Is that a message getting through because you figure at some point, well, you can just make the switch or go find more offensive players that, can help make up for some of that? There's just generally a trade-off. Rarely, unless you're the Oklahoma City Thunder or maybe the Denver Nuggets this year, are you really good on the offensive side and really good on the defensive side. It's hard to do. And the Jazz right now probably can't do both because you can become a better offensive team if you want Bryce Sensabaugh to play a lot. I think he's a good offensive player. He doesn't play defense. You can be a good offensive team if you play Flip. He's a good offensive player. He doesn't play defense. Right now, your best defensive players, including guys like Taylor Hendricks, who aren't, it's not like he's a lockdown defender, but he's better. And Ace, I think, is a little bit better. They're not great offensive players right now.
I think they need to trade for the clinic and then have the clinic show all of those other guys how to play dirty.
He just made his debut last night for the Spurs.
That's how Phil stays in the league. I've said that for a long time, as if he figures out how to play big and he's able to guard bigger than he is so he can be on the floor as a stretch five. I think that's his future in the NBA. But right now, he's not guarding anybody. Imagine putting Phil on Durant?
Yeah, he's in no man's land right now, which, again, is why he's probably best as a bench player and in limited minutes, but kind of playing that specialty role. But it's not been the best start to the season for him.
He had a couple nice passes. I mean, he's super skilled.
Yeah, he is. He's a really good offensive player. He's not shooting the three well yet. He shot it much better last year. It also took him a little while to figure it out last year. And, Keontae's not shooting well yet. There are guys who start the season slow. Mike Conley notoriously could not shoot early in the season and got better throughout the years always. So those things I wouldn't, necessarily worry about. The same thing goes with Walt Clayton, who also had a great night last night, and I thought he looked really pretty special. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see where the balance and identity emerges with this roster.
All right, we'll get to top three stories at KSLSports.com coming up next. Christian, how are you doing? You having sports withdrawals because your ESPN isn't on your YouTube TV still? You have the shakes this morning?
Dude.
You weren't able to watch college women's softball at 2 a.m. last night?
My donks are on Thursday Night Football tonight on Prime
that's
Video.
good.
I'm stoked.
You're all right.
Who are they playing?
Raiders.
You going to have a job tomorrow if they win?
Let's just
Salazar
say
gonna chop your head off.
I'm either not coming in tomorrow or I'm coming in with my face painted.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man, Salazar is not going to like that. To Ben's point, not one bit.
Yeah.
If you value
Like that?
If you value your job, you're going to come in and say, "Hey, the Raiders gave it a nice effort.
That was a good run.
Give us a nice effort."
I like that Genty. Geno Smith looks like the future.
Oh man, I hope the Donks lose. That would be a bad loss.
That'd be a real bad loss.
Where is it? Vegas or Denver?
It's in Denver.
Oh, beauty. Yeah.
It's going to be tough to take that L at home. You said you'd rather lose to the Chiefs than the Raiders?
I don't think I've ever said that, but yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I've said that I hate the Raiders more. No, I hate the Chiefs less than I hate the Raiders.
Right. Okay.
Huh. Okay.
Okay. I kind of like Ashton Shinty myself.
I like Ginty. I like Brock Bowers.
I like
I
Mahomes.
hate the Raiders.
No, did it change when they moved to Vegas? We like
No,
Vegas.
I don't care.
You like Vegas.
They moved to Vegas before I cared about Vegas.
Okay.
I like Pete Carroll.
I see. I don't like.
Oh, you
Pete
don't
Carroll.
like Pete? Yeah, I like him.
He's good.
Yeah, he's of course, yeah.
I didn't really like it that he might have been, I got to say that, feeding his defensive backs amphetamines when he was coaching for Seattle. I never really thought that was great.
Yeah. Win at all costs.
Right. It's that scares me. All right. Stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Coming up next is Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben Anderson. The problem with your take there, Christian, is Armpit isn't taking a pay cut. They're just going to fire all the production staff at ESPN. He's not a man of the people. He doesn't give a crap about the people. Anyway,
They
we were
won't
arguing.
fire production. They'll just fire lesser talent.
Christian was saying that Armpit took a shot at ESPN yesterday and was saying he's a man of the people. I was saying, no, he's not.
Well, he got mad that ESPN was not on YouTube. And he said, quit asking. He told the talent at ESPN to quit asking viewers to call in to fix the problem.
Armpit,
Which I think is rightfully so.
you make $20 million a year. They've got to pay for that somehow.
Yeah.
They probably budgeted into your salary the idea that they were going to get increase in rates fees over time. So then Christian said, he's a man of the people. And it's like, yeah, tell that to his cameraman who's going to be looking for a new gig.
Yeah.
Or all the many other talents that ESPN has had to cut over the several years to pay for Screamin' A and Armpit.
Right. Yep.
Anywho, time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials, J. Brooks Jewelers. For example, the mouse is going to pay Minnie and Goofy. But if you're Chip and Dale, you're getting the shaft. That's how Disney works. Oh, boy. That's what I'm saying. I walked around Disneyland for days. Saw Chip and Dale like 60,000 times. Could I find Elsa? Nope. Anywho.
Did you ever find her?
No. Well, no, it's a longer story than it's worth. It is kind of funny, though. I did go to great attempts to find her, and no, I did not. All right, what's number 1?
We'll go here. Number 1, Raider Dark Lord Cody Campbell joined DJ and PK this morning.
Cody Campbell is the zillionaire. He's also ahead of the Board of Regents, but he's the one, the scuttlebutt was that Texas Tech was swimming in dough, and they went out and got all these players, and that's why they were going to be good. Well, Cody Campbell is the guy who went out and did that. Now, Ben, and we'll catapult into a BYU Texas Tech discussion here, but I do want to take something back.
Okay.
My entire take that got me in trouble with the Raider fans was about how the bozo leadership at Texas Tech would somehow find a way to screw it up.
Correct.
This Cody Campbell guy is no bozo.
Yeah.
And go listen to this interview for a variety of reasons. He was really, really good. First of all, he was a lineman who played there under Mike Leach, which I guess I kind of knew. But I should have known that a former lineman was going to dump a bunch of dough into the offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah, he's going to win, not at the skill positions, but in the trenches.
And I thought the Raiders would try and tickle their way to a conference championship as usual and fail miserably. That's not what this guy did. In fact, PK told, and I didn't know this, that some Raider fan last year texted or tweeted at Cody Campbell and said, dude, you got to go buy us a line. Yeah. And his response was, will do.
Yeah, consider it done.
And that's exactly what he did. But the point that he's not a bozo, I think, is the most important because of what he's trying to do overall in college athletics, which is bring some sort of organization to the chaos. And part of his reason for donating so much to the Raiders is to kind of prove a point that, like, we got to do something about this. But anyway, Ben, he went on a long screed about how this current system is not good for student athletes. And is not good for the people participating in it. And he articulated it so well. I mean, I have the same feelings, but he really put it out there so well. And he struck me as a guy that had a good head on his shoulders and actually cares about young people, which beware the people that say that, because sometimes that doesn't turn out to be true. But what he was saying really rang true to me. And he talked about defending women's sports at great length and other non-revenue sports, and specifically defending the experience of the student athlete because it benefits you in life. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is a breath of fresh air. So I take back my bozo comment about the Raiders, because if Cody Campbell's in charge, that dude's no bozo. And in retrospect, I should be not surprised that the Raiders are as good as they are.
He started his business while he was in college. This isn't a Dolan situation where he inherited a bunch of his dad's money and then just decided to go play with it somewhere, and it was just at the college he went to. That's not the case. He really built this business, so he's spending his own money on building this team up. And you're right, having played there, I think gives him some idea of what does and does not win on the football field, and probably where Texas Tech has been weak in the past. They've always had skill players. Mm-hmm. Again, you go back and look who we drafted last year, or yesterday in What You Got Wednesday. None of us took a defensive lineman. None of us took an offensive lineman. We took quarterbacks, right? Wide receivers. Yep. You took a linebacker. That's a problem. You got to have good players in the trenches, and that's where I do think this game is going to be decided. Coming up against BYU on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. I'm very excited to watch this game. My schedule is completely clear, so I'm going to hang out and throw it on. But, that's going to be the battle. Can Texas Tech's defensive line do to BYU what it did to Utah?
And actually, Cody said that because DJ and PK asked him for his keys to the game, and he talked about just that subject. And I think he's totally right on the money. If BYU can neutralize the defensive line for the Raiders, then it might be a pretty good day for the Cougs. If they're able to stop the Raiders up front, it might be a good day for the Cougs, and vice versa. But interesting that, the other interesting thing, Ben, I thought was he talked to Mike Leach all the way through Mike's career after he paid, or after he left. And I'm sure he heard Mike complain about what doesn't work at Texas Tech, because he did that often and he did that publicly. And maybe Cody's saying, what's that meme you love from the stupid Tom Hanks movie? I'm the captain now?
Yeah.
What is that, Captain Carl?
Captain Carl. Captain Phillips? Is that what it's called?
Which apparently was a gross misrepresentation of what actually happened.
Yeah, it's Hollywood.
No, but apparently Captain Phillips was super reckless and
he
somewhere
went
that he was not supposed to be.
He was not supposed to be.
The whole thing was his fault.
And he was taking a shortcut or something like that.
Don't go in there. Pirates are going to be there. The Pirates got him. He's like, well, this is a pickle. And
somehow Hollywood was like, that man is the hero. That's a hero right there.
So I'm excited for this game. I will be curious. And he's a single-digit billionaire, which is still an absurd amount of money, and you can probably do whatever you want to. But I will be curious if we end up, and maybe Saturday's game is the determining factor, or maybe it's the conference championship game, which, as I've said several times, I still think is going to be BYU and Texas Tech. If BYU and Texas Tech are, until we try and slow this thing down, and maybe we never do, if the outcome of this game and the conference championship game just turns into a spending contest between these two schools, because they have they have the most resources, tools, and resources that nobody else in the conference really has. So if they want to and run away with this thing, they probably can.
You know, it's interesting, though. I don't think Cody Campbell actually wants that.
I hope not. But I don't know. Guy loses. Guy invests a little bit of money and they lose. He says, well, what's a little more money?
Well, the problem is I don't see him being successful, one.
In what way?
I don't see him bringing calm to the chaos. They talked all about.
Okay. I thought you were talking about like at Texas Tech.
No.
I think
I'm
he's
sorry.
already
I didn't
been
mean
very
to,
successful.
No. I don't mean to like completely change the conversation. But he talked about legislation and how they need Congress to act, and that they have to. You and I have both talked about how this clearinghouse thing is stupid and it's not going to fix anything, and these NIL resource schools are going to continue to have the ultimate advantage. I don't see him fixing that. I think he'd like to.
Sure.
But the other thing he said, did you know that 182 programs have already been eliminated countrywide? Like sports.
Sports. Yeah.
Sports programs.
Yeah.
That was an alarming number to me.
It's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot of scholarships.
And it ain't football and basketball they're canceling.
No. It's kids who really are using athletics to get an education.
What a novel concept.
Yep.
Nah, I don't want those guys getting it.
Not for us.
All right, what's next?
Number 2, question. How many picks will Bo throw tonight? Answer, not as many as Gino.
That's not how it was written.
How was it written?
How many picks will Bo throw tonight?
Sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
I know. That's why it was a great headline, and Christian just ruined it.
Thursday night football.
3, maybe 4. That's how the
Broncos,
Raiders. That's how the Raiders win. 4 picks.
And Gino will throw 4, maybe 5.
Gino had a good game last week, didn't he?
I don't care.
Christian, I am curious, what is a successful season now for the Denver Broncos, considering that they are atop the AFC West? They are probably the best team in the AFC West, though I still think you have to beat the Chiefs if the Chiefs can make to the playoffs.
The Chiefs are better than the Donks. Stop it.
I think the Chiefs will always be a threat, right? Last year, the Broncos made the playoffs. This year, you got to win a playoff game and then go from there.
So just win a playoff game.
Yeah, I don't think that the 7-2 record right now changes anything as far as expectations.
You're not playing the hand you're dealt. You're still going off of what you expected before the season.
Right.
All right.
And I do understand, like, obviously, Bo Nix and this offense have limitations. I think winning a playoff game would be a good start.
They've had to have some freaking miracles to have the record that they've got. They are not the best team in the AFC
Well,
West.
I mean, that was the entire Chiefs.
I cannot even believe I just heard that.
That was the entire Chiefs season last year and why they ended up getting shelled by the Eagles in the Super Bowl. But, yeah.
Also,
you got to win close games.
their 2 losses are on last-second field goals. But, again, like, I'm not going to act like the Broncos are better than the Chiefs in any way. They haven't played yet, so.
Well, okay, who's the best team in the AFC right now? Because I'll just read you the divisional leaders. The Patriots at 7-2, the Steelers at 5-3, the Colts at 7-2, and the Broncos at 7-2.
Okay, real quick before I answer that.
Now, there is another team out there that only has 2 losses.
All right. Before I answer that, let me read you the current standings in the Eastern Conference of the NBA. Number 1, the Chicago Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, the Detroit Pistons, followed by the Knicks and the Cavs and the Bucks and the Sixers. So you just read off the conference leaders halfway through the year.
Yeah, 8 games in.
Uh-huh. The Bulls aren't the best team in the East. I hate to break it to you.
No, but that's
not
2
going to.
weeks into the season.
I know.
If by the All-Star game, the Bulls are, tied for the number 1 seed in the East, that doesn't mean they're the best team in the East, but they're making a run for something.
The Bills and the Chiefs are still the best team in the AFC, and it's not particularly close.
Okay.
So I don't care who's leading. Those 2 teams are the best team in the AFC, and probably the best team in the NFL if you're not a believer in the Eagles still.
Still should be the Bills as the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, or the Chiefs, either way. Yeah.
The Bills just beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, they did. Here's the NFC. Who's the best team here? Eagles are 6-2. Packers are 5-2. Buccaneers are 6-2. And the Seahawks are 6-2, as are the Rams.
Well, you're in love with Baker, so I'm sure you'll say Tampa. I'd still say Philly, and if I had to pick a second, probably the Rams.
Might be the Lions. And the Lions aren't in that conversation.
The Lions have been kind of disappointing.
They've been up and down. They had a really slow start to the year, and they did just lose their last game.
And the Packers just punched themselves in the face to lose to the Panthers at home? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I love Jordan Love, but I'm not ready to go there yet.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's a clear super team right now in the NFL. There's a lot of parity right now, which is what is fun about the NFL. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to make it this year.
I think the Jets are going to make a comeback.
You like the Jets? You like
I
what
do.
the Jets did at the trade deadline?
1-7, but I think they'll probably be above 500 by the end of the year.
Be amazing to trade Sauce and is it Quentin Williams and bounce back.
Well, those guys were the problem.
Yeah, bad attitude. Guys.
Those guys were the problem.
Locker room cancer.
And now it's going to be fixed.
Next.
Well, if the Titans can win a game, anything's possible.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 3, in case you missed it, Walker Kessler is out for the rest of the season.
So there are two, and there are a lot of ways to look at this, but I'll lay out a couple of scenarios. One, this just stinks. Walker is in a contract year. The Jazz were going to let Walker bet on himself. They were willing to go to restricted free agency because teams don't throw huge money at restricted free agents anymore unless they're obvious kind of max or near max guys. And then a team says, well, maybe if we overpay a couple of million, they'll be worth the max and the team won't match it. But really, that doesn't happen very often. You get to restricted free agency, and because the team can match whatever offer is out there, teams just don't throw that much money, and the Jazz aren't trying to lowball Walker, but they're not trying to pay any more than they have to. In a sense, him being out for the rest of the season allows the Jazz to do exactly that. He's not going to get a $200 million offer now. He's probably not going to get a $160 million offer now. Does he get $120? Maybe. That's $30 million a year over 4 years, which is a ton of money. And probably what Walker could have extended for this summer, and the Jazz just wanted to see, let's see what happens. Let's not lock up extra cap space because you're only dinged for 3 times his current salary as a restricted free agent next year until you actually pay him the money. So they didn't have to pay him the money until a team offers a contract or until they've done all their free agency work next summer. So there was really no advantage to signing him early. And now that he's gotten hurt, you didn't overpay him. And you don't know what his market's going to be.
Except now they're going to lowball him because he's hurt, and it's going to inspire negative feelings. I know the Jazz front office disagrees. I think you do too, but I think it was a mistake not to extend him. I've seen the Jazz mess with this stuff before, and it's bit them. And you can say it rarely happens that the Jazz, restricted free agents get deals. Well, there are 2 from recent memory for the Jazz that happened: Wes Matthews and Paul Millsap. Mm-hmm. And you could argue that both turned out badly, even
Gordon
though
Hayward as well.
Paul stayed. And then, of course, that's the ultimate example of where you hurt somebody's feelings in a contract dispute, and they're going to figure out a way to stick it to you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. How much money did you say the flexibility is at the end of the year?
You go from $5 million, or so let's say he was going to sign for $25 million. The Jazz have a quote-unquote cap hold, which just means it's a placeholder in the salary in your free agency space that you can't spend, worth about $14 million. So it's about $9 to $10 million bucks of extra cap space.
Is that worth hurting the feelings of somebody that you want to be a key component of what you're building? Or at very least happy enough to stay with you until you trade them?
If I had to bet on it, are the Jazz going to use that $9 million to their advantage this summer? Probably not. So
was it worth it?
So yeah, that's the big question. You want to maintain flexibility because the league is changing so quickly and free agency changes so quickly and the value of trades changes rapidly. So the Jazz wanted to maintain that type of flexibility without committing to anything long term. I don't know. Does it end up mattering? Probably not.
Can I lay a scenario out for you? Let's say you were negotiating with Maddie on your deal. Mm-hmm. And you said, Maddie, I'm worth $500K a year. Mm-hmm. And
pay cut?
And she said, Ben, I think you're worth $300K a year. And you're like, seriously, dude, I'm rocking this website. Are you kidding? I'm cranking in the dough. I'm awesome. I'm the future. I'm worth $500,000 a year. And then let's say during your break, let's come back tomorrow. You break 3 fingers in a skateboarding accident. Mm-hmm. And Maddie's like, well, guess who's taking $300K now?
Yeah.
Because your typing ability is significantly altered for the short period of time. Mm-hmm. So guess who's not getting the $500K that they wanted? You would come out of that meeting like,
yeah, I lost
would you come out of that meeting?
No,
would you come out of that meeting and go, well, you're right.
Yeah, no,
I'm
absolutely.
not worth all
Very
that.
frustrated.
And you would come out of it and you'd say, not only am I frustrated, but I'm holding it against you because you're lowballing me at my lowest time when I'm hurt. There's no way that you're. I mean, let me put it this way: some bridges would have to be seriously mended if you were going to get everybody back on the same page again. That's why this is all delicate. That's why is it really worth it to What did you say? They let Walker bet on himself? They made Walker bet on himself.
They did. I don't even think they offered him any type of deal. I don't think they even lowballed him. They just didn't give him an offer. I don't know that for sure, but it doesn't sound like there was an offer made.
I don't know. Maybe I'm making too much of it, but I've seen it. I've seen it happen with the Jazz. And it's bad. It never works out well.
It's not like Walker doesn't have alternative routes if he wants to take them. Walker this summer, if he says, hey, I'm worth 130, you're only offering me 80 or 100 now. I know I'm worth an extra $30 million, and I'm actually going to hurt myself if I sign this contract with you for 4 years and $100 million. I'm going to sign what they call the qualifying offer.
1 year, and I'm out.
Which means I'm an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2027, and I think if I play a lot, I'm going to sign a $200 million deal. It would be stupid for me to sign for $100 million.
Yeah.
That's the risk. That is the gamble the Jazz are playing. I will say two things here. The other aspect of this I'm curious about is, did the Jazz plan on trading Walker Kessler this year, which is no longer an option? Were they hoping to flip him at a $4 million contract with Jusuf Nurkic's deal or whatever to get up to $23 million to take somebody else back that was better or bigger because somebody wanted Walker Kessler?
Right.
You know, the name that had been out there consistently in these rumors was Austin Reeves. Well, that is off the table, A, because Austin Reeves is playing out of his mind, and B, because Walker's now hurt. That's a question I have for the Jazz. What it does do, though, is I think it makes the season a lot easier of just saying, hey, this is another tanking year, quote unquote. You don't have to tank now. You just don't have the talent on the floor. You already lost 3 of your 6 best players from last season in trades with Collins, Sexton, and Jordan Clarkson, and now you've lost Walker. So you're down probably 4 of your 6 best players from last season. You can't win games. Certainly not at the level you want to if you were going to try and, quote-unquote, be competitive to make a run at the play-in tournament, which I never thought was particularly realistic. But our conversation of best-case scenario, Jazz maybe get to 35 wins if they really put the pedal to the metal, probably doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, no, they're a worse team today than they were yesterday,
By
for sure.
a lot.
By why? Yeah, he's good. That's my point.
And he's really hard to replace.
What's the point in dinking around with this stuff? Just sign him to the deal. It's not worth it. On these rookie extensions, it's just not worth it.
Well, I guess the other question is, are we positive the Jazz think he's that good?
No, obviously not.
Yeah.
They would have signed him if they thought he was that good.
I totally agree. If there was no doubt that he was going to be the starting center of the future and they were happy to pay him $30 million a year, I don't think they would have messed with it.
But see, that feels very un-Danny Ainge to me, and I realize Austin was part of this, but Danny's kind of the lock it up and trade him guy. He's not the let him go for nothing guy. In fact, he said that. That's bad to let him go for nothing. It was the whole reason they held on to Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson so long.
Yeah. Too long, but yeah.
And John Collins, because we're not going to let him walk for free, which I can buy that logic. But if you don't believe he's the guy, sign him long-term and trade him to the Lakers. It doesn't hurt at all.
No, it's a really...
get it.
If you just like the behind-the-scenes aspect of basketball, this is a really interesting situation now. Yeah. This got really fascinating.
And he said he was frustrated at Media Day. That's notable.
Yeah, he's going to be frustrated now. He's going to be more frustrated now.
Way worse, yeah. All right, stay tuned. More next. Jacob Ed, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. The Aggies return home to Logan for a battle against the Nevada Wolfpack. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Let's lock in.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, this segment brought to you by Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255, Peach Doors and Windows. We're going to talk to our friend Nick Olczyk coming up at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. Real quick here, Ben, did you see Kevin Durant going back and forth with one of your very favorite people last night?
Who was it? He's always going back and forth with somebody on Twitter.
It's not on Twitter.
Oh.
It was at the game.
Okay.
They were playing in Memphis, and he was talking to your guy, Tee Morant.
Oh, okay.
And KD said this, quote, "Your son don't want to be here. We know it's your last weekend. Enjoy your time."
Wow.
Now,
NBA insider Kevin Durant?
Well, these guys know. I mean, these guys have agents. These guys know what's going on. It's interesting, Ben. Be careful who you give your franchise to. I mean, I think if there was a lesson that James Harden taught us all in Houston, is giving your franchise to a player, no matter how good that player is, might not work out real great for you. And Memphis, and you've talked about this more than anybody because you've, seen some behind the scenes stuff with the Grizzlies. Memphis gave their whole organization to Ja Morant. They let him do whatever he wanted. He let Tee fly around the country with him.
Yes, he did. I told you, it was one of the weirdest things. What was their coach last year, Taylor Jenkins?
Uh-huh.
Was in a press conference with Taylor Jenkins. Every opposing coach speaks before the Jazz game. And he was doing his thing talking, the way his job is to talk to the media. And in the middle of it, a guy who looks a lot like Usher, but was actually Tee Morant, was not Usher, pokes his head in and just says something. It wasn't offensive, but just
Taylor!
Made it about me, made it about Tee Morant. And I saw the soul leave Taylor Jenkins' body of just I'm on the road in Salt Lake City. Clearly, I didn't know at the time, coaching for my job. I'm trying to hold on to my job. I'm trying to win here. And Tee Morant, the father of
Ja Morant,
who has his own off-the-court issues, is interrupting my focus, interrupting
for the 15th time today.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Wherever he's popping up.
He asked me where the bagels were at the hotel. Yeah.
And it's just I just saw him die a little inside. And you realize, be careful who you turn your program over to.
Well, and then if you want to get into the nuts and bolts of it, they paid him way too much money. So now, and I don't know if you've been reading the reports, I've heard stuff from your own people, Ben. I've heard the market for him kind of sucks.
Yes.
Because you have to give him the franchise if you trade for him. Because not only, I don't know if T would have to travel or whatever, but he's in the pay scale where you're not going to pay him that kind of dough to be a role player. And I don't think he's good enough, or I don't like his game enough to, if you're the Jazz, are you going to give your franchise to Ja Morant? I don't think so. The Jazz should be one of the teams that are in the market for his services.
100% they should be.
And I don't think they will be.
No.
I wouldn't be.
Well, you know who the team who's going to be in the Ja Morant business is the Sacramento Kings. It's the worst teams in the NBA. It's the worst run teams in the league. New Orleans.
Oh, I heard an interesting one about the Hawks. How the Hawks would trade their headache for Memphis's.
Another one. That'd be interesting. Maybe. But that's kind of that's the problem. And that's where, the Jazz, I know some fans have wanted to see Ace Bailey more. They don't love the way the Jazz have handled it early on. Getting rid of Omar Cooper before he turns into Tee Morant is a good thing to do. Because if you turn the franchise over to Omar Cooper, this manager that Ace had, you may never get the best of Ace. And I don't think you've gotten the best of Ja Morant, unfortunately.
And you just sign yourself up for a bunch of headaches.
Yeah.
No, I think you're totally right. And it's another reason why I think it's important for Ace to earn his spot on the team. I think entitlement is a big problem with Ja Morant, honestly.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Not reaching his peak.
Yeah.
So anyway, Kevin Durant saying Ja's going to be traded this weekend. We'll see.
We'll see.
Nick Olczyk, our good buddy. We're talking some Mammoth hockey next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The exclusive home of the Utah Mammoth is on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nice play by Marino to pass it to himself. He lays it back. Keller across, small, shoots, and scores! Keller in the offensive zone. He has an assist here tonight. Keller on the attack, skates downhill, and scores! The captain says goodnight in Buffalo. Slap shot from Sergachev, and they score! The Mammoth tie it up. Sergachev sneaks one through, and we're tied at 2.
You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, it's time to talk some Mammoth hockey. Let's get out to the zone phone. Joining us now, of course, you see him on the Utah Mammoth broadcast. You hear him, too, on radio. He's our buddy Nick Olczyk with us on Jake and Ben. What's going on, Nick?
Guys, is that my walk-up song, the Vanilla Ice there?
Oh,
You're always on the
that.
ice.
It
yeah.
can be,
I
absolutely.
like that.
Yeah.
Very nice. I once had someone call me Vanilla Ice, so why not? That's great. So great to be with you guys, as always. And how about the golden pipes of Mikey Folta there, bringing us in? Always does such a great job on the radio side, and really nice to see and hear a couple of his goal calls, and excited to be on with you guys today.
Nick, you looked more like Vanilla Spice earlier this week, eating the spicy wings. How was that?
Guys, It was brutal, man. It was absolutely brutal. I come from a household where there was very little spice put into our entrees growing up. Any hint of spice, even if I'm eating like orange chicken from Panda Express and they got the little red flakes in there, I got to toss it because I don't like sweating and needing a shower after I get done eating food. I want it to be a comfortable experience, not uncomfortable. But it was great. It was an awesome segment. I saw my life flash before my eyes once I tried the Dragon Scorpion Ghost Habanero sauce. I didn't even know that was a thing, but it is. And we had Kim and I had some fun there on the set. So I couldn't feel my face for about an hour after I ate that one, but the rest of the night ended up pretty good with the 2-1 win in overtime in Buffalo.
I agree with you, Nick. Who wants to sweat it out while you're eating? Call me a bland food
I've
fan
been
all you
eating
want.
the spiciest jalapeno chicken all week.
Yeah.
I keep going
Hard
back to
pass.
it.
I'm with you, Nick. Hard pass.
I'm a wreck. My body's a wreck for the next couple of days too, because it's a shock to the system. It's like you're not used to eating something this spicy. But look, I know different cultures. You grow up eating spice, all that, 100%. Do your thing. But for me, that's a no shot. That is a no shot for sure.
All right, tough one last night for the Mammoth in Toronto, dropping 5-3. And we love having you on the show, if for no other reason than you're helping me learn NHL hockey a little bit better. And Ben and I are both familiar with what it's like to go back-to-back in the NBA. Talk to me a little bit about going back-to-back in the NHL, and is this one of those games maybe you can chalk up to that scenario?
Plus, I think you could also add the fact that though the Leafs have not had a great start to the year, they're still trying to find their identity, considering they're without one of the best players in the league who moved on to Vegas, that being Mitch Marner. You're not only playing a back-to-back that you went to overtime, and I know you didn't spend the entirety of overtime in Buffalo because Clayton Keller, the captain, ended the game there pretty early, but back-to-back, not a lot of travel, of course. It's only about a 25-minute flight from Buffalo to Toronto, but you're still getting in a little bit later. You're going to bed a little bit later. But the first thing that Coach Andre Tourney and these players would tell you is that there's no excuses. But you look at that game, I think in totality, wasn't perfect from Utah, but they were still very much in the game, and it was still a game that really could have gone either way, especially when you get to the halfway point of the third period, where that's where the Maple Leafs kind of took over from there. And I just felt like one area or two areas that Utah were second best last night against the Maple Leafs were on the walls in the defensive zone is one. And that's been an area all year that they've been so good at, because if you don't win the walls in the defensive zone, you're going to end up spending a lot more time in there. Right? A 30-second shift then turns into a minute and 20-second shift. And when you just played a game the night before, that starts to wear on you, even if you are an elite level conditioned athlete like all of these guys are on the Utah Mammoth. And by winning the walls, to me, it's there's a little bit of a rugby scrum, or the puck is pinned against one of the sideboards in the defensive zone in Utah's end. Who comes out with it? Is it a scramble that turns into Utah possession because they were able to outnumber the opposition or win a battle or secure a 50-50 puck that could have gone either way? Or is it the opposition that's able to come out with it quickly? And when they come out with it, there were just too many times where I felt like Utah was caught puck watching. Too many guys were in really good position. They were where they were needed to be. But when you get caught mesmerized by the puck, the game of hockey moves too fast. And some of the great goal scorers that the Leafs have, whether it be Austin Matthews or a guy like William Nylander or John Tavares, who scored his 501st career goal last night, if you don't know where everybody's at, even if you're in the right position, these guys are so skilled to the point where all they need is one quick stick handle around you, or to move one way or the other to where you're not looking, and they got to look towards the net in terms of a shot. So offensively, Utah, I think they did some good things, especially early in the game, but I just felt like the game was won and lost along the walls in their own end, as well as at the net front. Because like I said, there were a couple of goals where the Leafs were able to get in behind. They were able to take advantage of a couple of Utah Mammoth players who were caught staring at the puck and not realizing what was going on around them. But credit to the Mammoth players. They were in the great position, just caught a little bit puck watching too much. Kind of like, guys, when you're driving on the highway and you're just staring straight and you go to change lanes and you don't look in your rearview mirror, and then you maybe get into a little bumper-on-bumper action, well, that's kind of the case. So being a little bit more aware was an area that Utah needed last night. Didn't come to fruition, so they got 2 days off, and then they'll head to take on the Montreal Canadiens and then the Ottawa Senators on a back-to-back.
7 straight wins followed by losses in 3 out of 4. But they did lose to the Oilers, Tampa Bay, and Toronto, as we saw last night. And I know they don't have the best starts to the season, but do you expect those 3 teams that they lost to be in the mix at the end of the year?
100%. Those teams in particular are some of the cream of the crop in the NHL. And look, it's always great to get off to a great start, right? Sometimes it's live and die with the first 10 games. And there's the old adage that a really high percentage of teams that are either in a playoff spot or between 3 to 4 points out of a playoff spot come the 1st of November. That's kind of the determining factor of who's going to make the playoffs. Still think it's very early for that, but look, at the end of the day, those teams, whether it be the Lightning, whether it be the Maple Leafs or the Edmonton Oilers, I think that those teams they're too good to fail. And of course, you never know what happens throughout the course of the season. Injuries, guys have tough years. That's why the game of hockey is so difficult to predict and try to forecast exactly what teams are going to be in, which teams are going to be out. But those 3 teams in particular, guys, those are 3 of the best teams in the league, no matter whether they've had good starts or not. And for Utah, 7-game win streak, that was great. And they, as you had said, lost 3 of the 4 games out of it. Okay, well, you're going to hit a tough stretch at some point. But the thing is to not let that 2-game losing streak turn into 5 or turn into 6. And I think that's the one part of this team that, of a lot of other things, has been so impressive this year is they haven't allowed games to snowball, whether it's game to game or within the game. When they give up 2 quick goals, they're right back up on the horse. So 2 days off, then you get to go take on 2 young, skilled, high-flying teams in Eastern Canada.
So last night, Alex Ovechkin banged home his 900th goal, the most of all time. And he's, 6 in front of Wayne Gretzky. But just to give people a little perspective, Sidney Crosby, his contemporary, obviously, he has 270 more goals than Sidney Crosby, which is just wild. So I guess my question is, will this ever be broken?
Wow, that is the question. And just to provide a little bit of context too, guys, Sidney Crosby, arguably, he's a Mount Rushmore player for me, no question. And it's funny because I remember when I was a young guy running around the Penguins locker room when my dad was actually Sidney Crosby's first ever coach in the National Hockey League back in the early 2000s. I remember running around the locker room and the arena and just being in awe of Sid when he was just 18 years old. So that 200-some goals behind Ovechkin, the type of player Sid is, I would say probably more of a complete player in terms of as focused on offense as he is defense and being a center iceman. More times than not, center icemen don't score as much as wingers. So just a little bit of context there, but 100%. Those 2 guys will forever be connected considering the timeline of which are going to be some of the most watched and looked back on moments really in NHL history. But will anybody ever reach 900 goals? I thought no one would ever surpass Wayne Gretzky. So for me to say it's never going to happen would be extremely naive and ignorant to say. So I'm going to say at some point, someone, I don't know who, I don't know when. Is it going to be a robot cyborg? I got no clue, guys. But I think at some point, someone will probably break it because for as long as Wayne Gretzky's record stood for 894 goals as the most all-time, nobody ever thought it to be possible to be broken. And the great one, Wayne Gretzky, said it himself. Records were meant to be broken. And so Alexander Ovechkin, a massive congratulations to him. 900. I think I scored 900 goals on my Nick Olczyk Via Pro career for NHL 12. I think maybe I scored 900 in one season because I was playing on the rookie difficult level. But no, it's an amazing accomplishment and something that, though I can't imagine being broken, I never thought Wayne Gretzky's record would be broken, and here we are today.
Nick, I still can't fathom as a layman that Wayne Gretzky has more assists than either Crosby or Ovechkin has total points, which is assists and goals combined. He's got more points just in assists. It doesn't make sense to me.
He is the great one for a lot of reasons, because he was so far ahead of everybody in his time, that being Wayne Gretzky. And to your point, it's amazing. If you took away all of his goals, he still has the most points all time. And I think through the whole process of Alexander Ovechkin chasing down Wayne's record, I think the coolest part about it was how involved 99 was, and how much Wayne almost kind of wanted his record to be broken, because it's good for the game. And as I said earlier, what he has said on multiple occasions, records are meant to be broken. So I thought it was so cool, not just the fact that everybody was there when he did break the record on Long Island last year against the Islanders, but just throughout the whole process, being supportive of Alex, vocally, in private, and in public, wanting him to break it, and just being there along for the ride. That was so good for the game, and that is class at its finest. Wayne Gretzky, there will never be a greater hockey player and person than the guy that wore number 99 on his back for his whole career.
So what do you think's next for this team, Nick? Do they have another long streak in them? How are they playing right now?
You'd love to say let's go streaking again, but I don't think, if you get too obsessed with win streaks and losing streaks, I feel like you lose a grip on the season as a whole, right? It's 82 games. It's an absolute grind. You're going to go through stretches where you're great, where you're not great. And I've always been a big believer, guys, is that throughout the course of an 82-game season, there's going to be 20 games where you're lights out. 20 games where everything goes your way. The puck bounces your way. You get all the calls. The other team's goalie has a bad night, which helps you out, but you're just playing guns a-blazing. And then you're going to have 20 games where you might as well have left your legs at baggage claim, and you just don't have it, right? Sometimes we wake up and we just have a bad day. Okay, so you got 20 games where you're unstoppable, 20 games where it doesn't matter what you do, the puck bounces the other way. But to me, it's what you do with those other 42 games that are a grind. The other 42 games that could go either way, close games, one-goal games. A game could swing on a power play that you get halfway through the third period, where if you don't score, you probably lose the game. If you do score, you take the lead, you get some momentum, you go on to win that game. So I just feel like right now for this team, they're still very much in a good headspace. Yes, I know you've lost 3 of your last 4 after the 7-game win streak, but that the win streak wasn't going to continue on forever. They've had a tough patch in their schedule right now. They're going up against some great teams. It's going to continue to be that way. You got 2 more games on the road, then you come back home for a homestand. And let's not forget, too, these guys played a lot of road games in the last segment here of their schedule. So where do they go from here? They get right back up on the horse. You're taking on a Montreal Canadiens team, guys, who highly, highly, highly offensive. Always looking to take chances. Always looking to be risky with the puck. But they give up a ton. That game has a real chance to be a high-scoring game, a 5-4 type of game, a 6-5 type of game, because especially the Canadiens, while they score a lot, they give up a lot. So for the Utah Mammoth, continuing to get back up on the horse, execute on the chances that they have, be a little bit better in the defensive zone, those will be a couple things to get back at it. But I'm not worried at all about this game, because we've seen what they've done so far and where this group is at. Yeah, the recent stretch hasn't been great, but no reason why they can't get back up on the horse to end this road trip.
He's always willing to go streaking. He's our good buddy Nick Olczyk.
Let's go streaking. Jake got arrested last time he said that.
Yeah,
so.
I can't do that I can't be a repeat offender.
We got some friends in high places around here, so
we'll be all right.
We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Nick, we are a huge fan of yours. Thank you for coming on with us.
I can say the same to you guys. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Nick.
That's our buddy Nick Olczyk. Catch him on the TV and radio broadcast for the Utah Mammoth.
You should go bother him.
I'm not going to bother him. He's the toughest guest we've got.
He can't even eat spicy food. What are you talking about?
He took like a puck to the face last year.
He had Tabasco sauce and he started sweating.
I'd like you to see you call him a softy cakes to his
It
face.
is funny, for as tough as hockey dudes are, a lot of them are from the north, right? So
Correct.
a lot of them would probably fold.
Correct. They're like,
Add
you
hot
put
sauce.
ground pepper on this food? You want me to die? You want me to breathe fire?
I don't.
I'm not going to sleep tonight.
I know that people like spicy food, and I can handle a little bit. I'm not that person that can't handle Mexican food or something.
Yeah.
But like I saw my brother eat the spicy hamburger at Lucky 12. You ever had their spicy
13?
or Lucky 13?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Lucky 12 is a bar in Nags Head, North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
Lucky 13. Have you seen their jalapeno burger or whatever they call it? Have you had it?
Uh-huh.
I just watched my brother sit there and sweat for a half an hour.
Oh,
I mean, just pouring
Your
off
brother's
of
also
his
a softie. Yeah.
off of his head.
Yeah.
He's really not, though.
Apparently, he is.
I've got a funny off the mic story to tell you
Okay.
about. He's usually pretty good at these. So I just don't get it. Is my whole point.
Christian, where are you on spice?
I get teased by my family. Obviously, I come from Mexican heritage. I can't take the spice as well as some of them can.
As they
But
can.
I enjoy it. I enjoy a little bit.
I love it how this is like bowling all over again. Ben's trying to
I just
act
curious.
tough.
At some point, you're in your adulthood and you can eat spicy food. Now,
Yeah, I'll eat
the
it.
wing that Nick ate and this sauce that they put on, which is the novelty sauce. You don't order it at a restaurant. You know what I mean? It's 1,000,000 Scovilles or whatever stupid measurement it is. That's just designed to create that reaction. It's not to be enjoyed. It's designed specifically to cause as much pain as possible. Is different than just like, oh yeah, I can't have jalapenos on a burger.
Yeah. I had a buddy who used to pick up the 11s from the wing coop and would take them to wherever he was going and just hand them out to people and not tell them.
Which is cruel.
Which is funny.
If you've not had the 11, it is shocking. It's unpleasant and it's shocking.
Hey, I've got some wings. I'm not going to eat them all. You want one?
Maybe. No, you don't.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It doesn't get much bigger than this. BYU and Texas Tech. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your Wednesday. We can talk a little football here, Ben, but quick shout out to, honestly, I just saw a Utah fan get on this, but BYU fans and Raider fans for raising money for a couple of really good causes. There was a GoFundMe for I guess it was the trainer for the Raiders whose wife was
There's a barber for the team.
Was it a barber? Was that what it was?
Whose wife had been in a car accident, and they set up a GoFundMe to raise, I can't remember what it was, 50, and they well surpassed it.
I guess they're just killing it.
Yeah.
And then I saw a story earlier that Andy Reid, BYU alum, and Patrick Mahomes, former Raider, are joining up to do a literacy fundraiser, basically, where you can donate kids' books at the tailgate if you go, but you can also donate funds, and they're kind of making a fun thing out of it. And as annoying as some fans are at points in time, this sort of thing is super cool. So I wanted to give it a little light of day because I love that part of it where you are bonding or over a rivalry or a game or this or that, but you still can keep the perspective on that there are real humans involved and these are real people who have real lives. And I don't know, I thought both those stories were really cool.
The value of sports is the community aspect.
Yes,
and
yes.
this is community taking care of other communities that have maybe opposition on the field but share the same thing, which is a love for something they're rooting for.
So shout out to the sports world and the fans in this community. Like I said, I saw on the Snap Talk, I saw a Ute fan jump on it. And so shout out to all the fans who are that stuff makes a difference.
Absolutely.
That stuff makes a real
someone's
difference.
life.
Yeah.
And this is it's a saying, period, but it's very much a saying you've heard if you've been in any church locally and put away the chairs in the auditorium, as many hands make light work. You know what I mean? This is a family that needed many hands, and they got it.
All right, over-under on the Bears throwing 250.
Over.
I think
he
over,
has
too.
To. I think he has to. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to come out. Now, that's the nice thing about adversity, and this kind of leads me to another point with BYU, which I will try and touch on if I remember to, but the adversity of losing a running back, you've talked about this a lot with the Jazz, which could benefit this team as well, this Jazz team, which is, you remember they lost Rudy Gobert for a little while, and all of a sudden the rest of the team had to play defense, and you thought, like, hey, when Rudy comes back, this whole team should know how to play defense.
It was Donovan's rookie year, and it was what was responsible for their monster run to get into the playoffs, what you're talking about. So, add context.
Can you deal with adversity to develop a muscle that you didn't previously have to become a strength? And can BYU now, which has, yes, been a running team, but show that they could win a game at Iowa State. Now, I don't know if that's a good win or not. In all honesty, Iowa State apparently stinks. They've lost 4 straight, including a game to Colorado, who can't beat anybody. But you won on the road at Iowa State because you lost your running back in the first half of the game. And over the second half, you had to rely on Bear's arm. And he went out and he did it. And he overcame an Iowa State defense and willed them to victory. So can he now use that as a weapon in addition to having L.J. Martin back to win a game on the road in Lubbock, which should be BYU's toughest challenge of the year so far?
Because if Utah could have thrown the Raiders out of their run defense, that would have been a different game. So I think the Bear is going to have to – he's going to have to throw it. He's going to have to get them to loosen up and throw it.
I don't have any doubts that he can, though.
Well, doubts. There's always doubts. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, Jared Goff had a bad game against the Utes. I mean, there's always doubts, right? But I get he is capable of it.
Yeah,
maybe
it's not that there's a lack of
ability.
He absolutely has the ability. There's no question about that.
Right. If you would have asked me, let's see, who would be a good example from a BYU quarterback? If you would have asked me if James Lark can go hang 250 on Texas Tech, I would have said you're crazy.
Taysom, yeah.
Taysom put 250 on people, but I would not. If you ask me if the Bear is capable of doing it against Texas Tech, yes, I think he is. Do I doubt that he can do it? Yes, I have doubts. Because if the Raiders sack him 1,500 times and all of a sudden he's rattled and they still can't run the ball, then he's going to be out for a long day.
And he has, but the nice thing about the Iowa State victory that was impressive is leading up to that, the conversation had kind of been, he was not very good at Arizona. He was not particularly good at Colorado. He made mistakes in those games that I did not think showed up against Iowa State as blatantly. And if he's cleaned that up, I certainly think BYU can win at Lubbock. The point I wanted to bring up, which is it's not a criticism at all. In fact, it's what good teams are. BYU has been a little boring this year because they haven't faced as much adversity as maybe I thought they would. And they have, L.J. Martin being out, having a true freshman quarterback. Those are pieces of adversity, but they seemingly have overcome them so easily that there's not been this major question mark. I have a pretty strong understanding of what BYU is going to do going into this game at Texas Tech. It would be far more surprising if they can't move the ball at all, to me. They have been able to consistently move the ball, and when you take something away, they find another route. If you take away Chase Roberts, Parker Kingston comes up. If you need the tight ends to show up, the tight ends have showed up. If you need to pick up a 3rd and long in a hostile situation like you had against Utah, Bear Bachmeier will drag you into the end zone. They just seem to have an answer for all the problems, and they seem to figure it out really quickly, which makes them, in my estimation, a little boring. But boring is good. You don't want to, an emergency break glass in case of emergency to have to get out of every situation. And BYU hasn't felt that way to me this year.
I'm trying to think of another word besides boring, because I know what you're saying, but every game BYU's played has been far from boring.
No, it absolutely has. That's what's so funny about it.
I'm trying to figure out a word that captures what you're saying.
Because BYU's not going to beat Texas Tech by 3 touchdowns. It's not going to be boring in that sense. This is going to be a close game in the fourth quarter.
And like Arizona, the Bear, had some mistakes, but he also made a bunch of plays when he had to
the
win
Utah
the game.
game was exciting, but BYU felt
So
under
maybe
control.
As a team, they're
contained.
Oh, I don't know. What's a better word? Uninteresting, or lacking drama?
Yeah, you're in the vein that I am.
Yeah. No, I agree with the point you're making, but to say boring makes it sound. I was like, wait, that Arizona game wasn't boring. Their games haven't been boring, but their storylines are kind of boring.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bear being better than expected is a great storyline, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not like stop the presses. You know what I mean?
No, and what's been interesting about BYU this year is the problem they had last week is generally not the problem they have the next week. They just figure it out.
Well, I do think the Bear learns. Yeah, I think he's shown that much. I think that he's learned from his scenarios. And the way that they've brought him along was perfect. Shout out to the offensive coaching staff down there because starting him slow and, avoiding the temptation to ask him to do too much because he wanted to do more. And they're like, hold on. Yeah. We're going to run 4 different plays this game.
Yeah.
And next game, it'll be 6.
Yeah.
And by the time we get to the Raider game, you're going to have everything at your disposal, and hopefully you'll be prepared to use it.
Yeah. So whatever their issues were against Iowa State, which there were not a ton other than the defense.
Their issues were defense against Iowa State.
And maybe that's where the adversity is coming from, is that I thought this defense would maybe be more dominant than it has been. They have needed Bear to win games more than I expected them to. Now, credit Bear, he's been able to do it. That's a real plus for this team that I did not expect them to have when we were talking about starting a season with a true freshman, that when they were going up against Utah or Iowa State or now Texas Tech, that they would have a quarterback that could go out and win them games that was not a particularly enormous recruit in the vein that BYU has historically.
The weird part about BYU's defense, in my opinion, and feel free to disagree with this take because, I'm not a guru, but it's not like it's a Mike Leach defense, not to pick on Mike, rest his soul, but you knew that defense when they didn't have Vita Vea, was just going to suck. Whether he was with the Raiders or Washington State or whatever, the defense was just not going to be very good. You could rely on it. It was consistent. It was designed that way. That's how they worked. BYU's defense has been super leaky sometimes and then super awesome others. And I don't know how is that they're capable of more and they just let up or have mental lapses? Or you seem to suggest that Iowa State took themselves out of the game? Like it wasn't BYU's doing, it was Matt Campbell taking his foot off the gas?
Well, that's what Matt Campbell always does. So that's not a criticism of BYU.
I'm not saying that it was. Yeah. I'm just saying that you implied that was the reason for BYU's defensive lockdown in the second half. And I'm not even disagreeing necessarily. I'm just saying that like against Arizona, it was really leaky at points and then stand up at others. Utah, it was more stand-up than it was leaky, but Utah still had those 4th and short opportunities. How'd they take advantage of them? Then maybe we're telling a different story. So that's my concern about the defense is, like, it's not that it's been really bad across the board or really good across the board. It's been really bad for a minute, and then really good for a minute, and then really bad for a minute. Well, and I don't know what that says about them.
They do the weird thing, which, do you have stats pulled up?
I can.
They rely on the big play more than the consistent play.
Well, the Utah game is a good example of that.
And so was Iowa State, right? Iowa State is driving in the first half and has a chance to go up. I think it was more than 2 scores. I couldn't remember exactly if it was 24-10 at that point or where it was.
You want defense in the league or in the country?
Give me defense in whatever. Where are they in interceptions is my question.
Let's see.
In the country.
I don't know.
I think they've got 11 on the season. 12 on the season, something like that. But, they are giving up an easy drive to Iowa State. And Iowa State is right at the red zone if they're not in the red zone already. And then I would have to go back and look at who even got the takeaway. It might have been Satuwala who got the interception. But and it was a terrible throw by...
Okay, national leaders, team interceptions. Do you want to just take a stab at this before I...
I'm going to say BYU's 11th.
Close, very close. They're 7th.
Okay,
tied for 7th.
Okay.
With 12 interceptions.
12. So that's a lot of takeaways. And then you look at what they've done on special teams. And they've had a lot of huge special teams play, and not just fair and kicking field goals. I mean, getting sixes, recovering muffed punts and things like that. They've done a really nice job with that. Kick returns for big games to set them up for scores when they needed to, which is what happened with Parker Kingston 2 games ago.
BYU is 12th in the league in fumbles recovered at 10.
Yeah.
No, 4. Sorry.
Okay. So
10 caused, 4 recovered.
So to that point, it's not play to play. They are impenetrable. They're not. You can move the ball against BYU, but they kill drives with takeaways and then pick sixes, which just end games. A pick six ends a game, right? It's a drive that turns into points going the other direction. You get a pick six. I think Witt used to talk about this a lot. Like the odds of winning a game when you have a pick six skyrocket.
Yeah.
It's like 80% of the time because it's such a jarring shift. And that's what BYU has done. It's more about, I guess, big plays and playmaking than it is just consistent down-to-down defense. And they're still good down-to-down. And they've still got Glasker, and they've still got, Tanu Vasa, and they've still got maybe not lockdown corners, but corners that make huge plays. And that's the advantage where I think there's been some adversity.
In yards per game, BYU is 27th in the country. Texas Tech, give me a second. They are higher. They're 10th in the country in total yards per game given, allowed. And believe it or not believe it or not, but just for fun, because they're right here, Utah is 17th.
Okay. What's Texas Tech in takeaways? I think it's boring to talk about takeaways as being what determines the game, but go back to the BYU-Utah game. It's what determined the game. Turnovers are the general outcome of every game you look at.
Well, turnover margin, BYU is third in the country.
Again, big
at
plays.
1.25.
And they don't shoot themselves in the foot.
Texas Tech is 13th.
Okay.
At 0.89.
So these aren't teams that we should expect to see making a lot of mistakes.
No. And they're going to cause you to make some.
And whoever can cause the other to make more mistakes probably has a great chance to win this game.
Yeah. All right. Stay tuned. We wrap up the show coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
It's a much-needed bye week for the Utes as they get set for the final stretch of the 25 season. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two niggas on the airways, talking sports. They got him Matrix and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
Hey, Jake and Ben. I think the Jazz need to just get rid of Nurkic and Love. And I say that they're humans, not just get rid of them. But I cannot watch those guys play anymore this year. Put the young guys in, please. Please get them some experience. Thank you.
Jake Scott is an absolute clown. I mean, really? You know who the best team in the AFC is. It's the New England Patriots, baby.
That was Scott and then Kevin. Kevin's was funny.
I didn't know. Shyamalan, yeah, twist ending.
I didn't
see it.
I didn't know where Kevin was going. That was super funny.
I was legitimately shocked.
Jake Scott is an absolute clown.
I was shocked looking at the standings and realizing, man, 7-2. That's a good turnaround because that team has been a joke. Not a great sign for Bill Belichick apologists.
And by the way, shout out to Scott for clarifying to make sure that everyone knows he's not calling for the death of Jusuf Nurkic.
Appreciate it.
Kevin Love. Oh, they're humans. We just play the young
guys. We're not asking
them
to disappear. You just don't want to see them anymore.
The problem with the young guy bigs is there's not really a young guy big. So there's not really.
You just can't put Flip out there.
No, They did at times last year, and it didn't go well.
No, their young guy big is unfortunately Walker Kessler.
Yeah, right, who's not playing. So I get it because Jusuf Nurkic is not an answer, and Kevin Love is not an answer. But they don't have a young guy to play in that position.
Yeah, here's the hard part: is you can get an injury waiver, but it doesn't create an extra roster spot. You have to have an open roster spot to use those injury waivers. So the Jazz will get one for losing Walker. It basically gives you some salary to spend.
To do.
You got to get rid of somebody. You've got 15 guys on your 15-man roster. So you're going to have to lose somebody, I believe, to replace them. And that means, like, you're going to waive Kevin Love? Maybe. Maybe that's the solution. Maybe you get rid of Kyle Anderson, who's not in the rotation.
They'll probably be sorry to see Svi go.
But I think they like Kevin. Yeah, are you going to lose Svi? Like, are you going to trade somebody for a second-round pick? Can you trade Kyle Anderson for a second-round pick? Because you do need somebody else at that spot. Because here's the other aspect of this. It loses a lot of steam if Will Hardy is yelling at all the young guys that they have to play defense if they want to play, and then Jusuf Nurkic plays 30 minutes a night and won't
Even
move
run.
with outside of 3 feet of where he ends up by, changing ends of the floor. He's not going to go out and contest a jump shot. He can't rotate quick enough to block a shot. So Keontae, if Bryce Sensabaugh re-enters the rotation, Ace Bailey, Walt Clayton, Taylor Hendricks, Kyle Filipowski could play perfect defense, but guys are still going to get to the paint, and then Nurk is just like, well, after you, acquiesce, go ahead, take the shot. That's going to be really hard for Will to sell, so I do think they will have to find, and Danny Ainge said this yesterday on Hans and Scotty, he mentioned, well, we've got Oscar Tshiebwe on a 2-way contract. He said, we've also got Mo Bamba down there, which made me think that Mo Bamba probably is the answer.
Well, send Cody down there and...
Well, again, you can't replace him.
Oh,
you
yeah,
need to
right.
waive somebody is the hard part.
Well, we'll see.
So we'll see where the Jazz go.
Did you agree with the guy who called me a clown, Christian, that the Patriots are the best team in the AFC?
I do like Drake May. No, I still agree with you earlier that I think it's hard to top the Bills, even record-wise.
Shout out, though, to the Titans who ran Mike Vrabel out of town on a rail. Way to go.
Yeah.
Sometimes the coach isn't the problem.
Correct.
And Mike Vrabel did a good job with the Titans.
He's a good coach. Yeah.
I mean, if you're somewhat successful with the clown franchise, you probably know what you're doing.
Also, this is his first year in New England, right?
Second.
Or is it a second? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Second.
I think last year they had Gerard Mayo, right?
Christian,
Mike
maybe
Vrabel.
this is...
Either way.
It was Mike Vrabel last year.
It was?
I think so. Hold on. Either way, what?
I mean, it's a good job to have, halfway through the season, you have one of the best records in
2005,
the AFC.
this year.
25.
2025. I always do that.
So this is his first year.
He was with the Browns last year.
Because I knew he hasn't been with Tennessee for a couple of years. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah,
he's a good coach. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're the best team in the AFC yet. But you can call me a clown. That's all right.
No, they are very much in the Broncos situation. Good young quarterback. A lot of good draft picks that have paid off, it seems like, in recent years. And then you're going to need to get a little bit of experience. You generally have to lose before you win.
We have a playoff game next.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
I love it that the Donks are going to get humiliated tonight. I might actually watch.
You tune in.
Jake Scott is an absolute clown.
Stay tuned, Hans and Scotty.
Finally, we got an answer to me being a bozo.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.